Hello, it's Jamil Jude, Associate Artistic Director at Kenny Leon's True Colors Theater. What you're about to see is a talkback between Kenny Leon and the playwright of Dot, Mr. Colman Domingo. Kenny and Colman will talk about what it took to bring this play to Atlanta, how Colman created the script, what were his inspirations, and give any general advice to any aspiring artists who are in the audience. We hope you enjoy it.
I guess I'm just going to open it up to you, because I only want to spend about 20 minutes. I want to thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting this particular play. I've always been a fan. Hey guys, y'all be quiet backstage. I've always been a fan, and I read this play one time, and the first time I loved it because it walked that thin line between drama and comedy. And it was dealing with a tough subject, and in my own family, I have been seeing uncles and aunts, and I was going through this, and I was like, wow, here's a play I can read about that, but it also allows me to laugh. And that was real special to me. And every 18 months or so, I do something here in Atlanta for True Colors. That's what I try to do. So this was one I made a commitment to a couple of years ago. I said, we're going to do that, and I'm going to direct it. And God worked it out, so it worked in my schedule for me to direct this play, and I really enjoyed doing it. And I want to thank you for letting us present your work here in Atlanta, Georgia.
Hello. Did I got it? First of all, I want to say thank you for helming a beautiful, exquisite production. I am humbled. Thank you very much.
So we all know him from television. He's an actor, he's a writer. Somebody has a juicy question.
Why did you write this?
Why did you write this?
I wrote this because I was, there was a couple moments. The first time was when I went back home. I was living in New York, and I went back to Philly, and I went to go visit my friend Stacy, who I knew her mother was suffering from dementia, and I didn't know what that was, really. And I went over there, and I was Jackie. This opening scene, I was Jackie, coming back home and just having a conversation with Miss Phyllis, and she's a, hey, they call me Jay. Hey, Jay, how you doing? We sitting there talking, and they're fussing about something. They always just at each other a little bit, and there's a little dark comedy going on, and then she would turn around, I'm like, all right, get out of here. So how you doing? And you still live in New York? And so she would keep saying the same thing, and I was like, I didn't understand what was happening. And then I had another friend. These are all female friends. I had another friend who's raising a single mother, raising her son, and she was dealing with a mother who was in care. And she called me. She was really upset one day, and she says, I feel like I'm just trying to hang on and get the memories out of my mother to put into my son. Otherwise, nobody will ever know that we were here. And so there was those two instances that really helped it become a memory play in many ways, whether it's a memory of a neighborhood, memory of who we are, culture, identity, family, and sort of is, in my own way, it's sort of a representation of America and our own consciousness as well, which is why everyone, when I really dissect the play for myself, it's a representation of America in some way. I'm dealing with a microcosm of West Philly and these people, but it's everyone's needs, everyone's love and passion. And so I think it was my response. I wrote this in 2014, 15. And it was the fastest play I've ever written, actually. It was calling on me to write it. I had started with the first 20 pages, and then I got a fellowship. You give any artist a week and 3 square meals, I can finish something. So I finished the play in a week, basically. It was just coming out of me. And I read the first draft came in a week, and I knew that these people were saying, you have to tell the story. And so when they were living with me. And some I was revisiting some characters from other plays of mine, like the character of Avery is actually based on my sister, and women like my sister, who I wanted to see on stage. I wanted to see what she wants and her needs and her dreams. And I was dealing with, just trying to look at our families and the questions of how do we care. And then it was surprising to me how the financial burden as well. I was like, wait a minute, so things aren't covered, and what? So I was examining all that, and I think most writers write from a question. There's a burning question. My questions are always linked to death in some weird way, In every play that I write, it's always like people are fighting death, or death is looming. Death has a weird sense of humor. It's knocking. It's going to come get you in some way, and then you've got to try to fight to hold on to each other, and then to move forward. So that goes into that, but then
that's pretty amazing, because I was telling someone tonight, you guys are the end of the process of doing great theater. But as August Wilson said to me, where were you when the page was blank? And I always think about the writer. You know, he said he wrote this in a week, so I'm thinking like there's just blank paper. And then he put words to the paper. And then a few years later, I read it. And then I cast some actors. And then we get in a room with some chairs and we talk about it. And then they memorize the lines. And then we add costumes and lights and music and get a set.
always amazed.
Get a set that spins around.
I'm always amazed at what was in my head can become all this, and people are, you know, this was here, but then it's not only me. It was like, I think of it. I think any work of art, I think you asked for it as well. So I think it's a collective consciousness that I began this process, but only because you wanted it too. You know what I mean? To be used in some way.
And you complete it, because you're here, and if it has no meaning or impact to you, then it's not great art. And then you go home and you tell a neighbor, or you hug an aunt, or you call somebody you haven't talked to in a long time, because you saw this as a result of him putting pen to paper. I think that's so amazing to me every time, you know. Yes?
How much research did you have to do, or was it just observation or interviews to get the symptoms and those kinds of things?
In the beginning, it was observations, and then I started doing a lot of extensive research as well, and even talking to doctors, etc. So, because I knew there was such a great responsibility, and I knew I wanted that to help inform some of the characters' choices and what was underneath. I settled in on that 12-minute exercise after I saw something. I was doing research and saw a video of this 12-minute exercise, and then asked for permission to use it actually in this as well. So that it all just came organically, and I knew that I was going to drive to that game in some way. And that game, you know, to put, you know, that was designed by, you know, there's a little thing between Fidel and Dot, to get them to really, to drop them in a deeper way. And so I've done my research with it, and because I knew I needed to get it right.
Yes.
I thought you interjected humor extremely well. Was that, did that come organically, or had you had some other experiences that you thought humor would help you tell this difficult story?
I think generally, I look at all the work that I do, I have a very odd sense of humor. I think naturally. I don't think it's odd. I just think that, like, naturally, what we do, and I know that we do, as people of color, is that we have to laugh through this trauma and these tears. And in the moment when something is going on, I found it, like, in the moment, like, I lost both my parents in 2006, 6 months apart. And after I lost my mother, and it was one of the most devastating moments. It was right before I was about to go do this show, and I was sitting there, you know, just completely in grief. She was my best friend. And then my sister, we had, you know, I left it to my brother's really, you know, he's of the hood in every single way. It was his responsibility to get the U-Haul and get the drivers to come clean out that apartment and things like that. And then we're just grieving and things, and then this old Lay's potato chip truck drives up. It's all busted down. They're taking out mama's stuff. And we could not stop. We're like, I can't believe. So we could not, me and my brothers and sisters, we were laughing so hard. We're like, what is wrong with you? We were like, it was so crazy. It was like Fred Sanford came to back it up. And we're like, I can't believe my mother's beautiful, beautiful stuff is going out. And they were like, but we found the humor in it. And I think that because I know that that's the way we keep going. That's the only reason why we're all still here. It's because you have to laugh through it and move through it. And I know that I laugh even harder now, you know?
Over here?
So this was lovely, and thank you. And you talked about a lot of things that we don't discuss. It wasn't just the dementia. So I appreciate you bringing all those things out. A lot of intense moments. The moment that I felt like I was gonna cry was the E.T. thing. What made you bring that into this?
I really wish sometimes I knew, honestly, I can tell you, and I'm sure Kenny would probably tell you as well, you probably would look at a book and you're like, who wrote that? I almost feel like in a weird way, it's like somehow there is that connection, and I'm telling you, there's a connection to something else. Something else is coming in and recalling things. You know, exactly, it's now on sale. Please purchase, pick up a copy, great Christmas gifts. Exactly, good for schools, you name it. But you know, but I really think that you call on a higher power in some way. You know, I'm a spiritual person, but I think honestly, and I know August Wilson, you name it, Alpha Four, you know, you live in this realm when you're writing that you sort of have to let go and let something else take over. I don't know how I got to the E.T. moment, honestly. I just knew that like E.T., I'm just like, E.T. was searching for home. This is a home story. And I know that, you know, that message was in there and it comes out into a character. The character needs to say that thing or connect. But also, you know, I listen to a lot of music when I'm writing, and I know I'm very rhythmic about it as well, because sometimes the scenes need to slow down and have some breath, and then they pick up steam again. And we start with the, you know, and then we like, at one point, for me, I know that I sort of deconstruct the play, I throw a bomb on it, and then I rebuild. I rebuild with a solo and then a duet. Like when, you know, when the play for me falls apart, when, you know, Donnie has his fit, and then we rebuild musically with a solo and a duet and a trio, and then we can move into the quartet. And so it's all musical for me as well. Until we get to our, not to, you know, just to echo August Wilson, we get to our 7 guitars, you know. So I think that's where it lives in this strange place. I honestly don't know. I wish I knew. I think you just call on it, and you try to really sort of. I try not to judge any of my characters, which is why the only way I can write a character like Avery is I don't judge her at all. I want her to speak in all her truth, in all her being, the way she sounds, the way she walks, the way she looks, and to be, you know.
That's a song.
You know, yeah. The she walks, the way she wears style of hair. Exactly. Exactly. Right. You know what I mean? So that's where it lives, yeah.
Thank you.
I have one other question.
Yes.
So are you musically inclined? Do you play piano?
I don't play piano.
Okay.
I sing, I
You
dance.
sing.
I'm a Broadway baby. I sing and I dance. And, you know, and I guess I have an ear for music.
That's a great cast over there. Look at it.
Hello. Please give it up to this cast. Just extraordinary. Extraordinary.
Other question.
I was just going to say, being somebody who's experienced both grandmothers go through dementia and watching this, I was really able to relate. And one of the scenes I think that really got me was when Jackie was having her crisis about being where she is and being pregnant, and then the mom talking about, well, I'm going through something, and it was just the way you weaved in and out of that. I just thought that scene, for me, really spoke a lot, because they were at 2 different stages in their lives, but yet they're still going through the same thing.
That's exactly it. They're both pregnant with another possibility in some way. The symbolism of that was very, very specific for me. And also the idea that I wanted the outsiders in the play to reveal more about Dot than what the children can. Because the children are spinning out and they've got their needs. And just like she says, they're not allowing me to be the woman. Dot can only be truly her, she's quieter with the outsiders because they're not bringing in all that other noise. You know, so she can get to her truths and she gets to her center a bit more. And she can even say to Fidel, I'm scared. Or she can say to Adam. And so I think it's a responsibility for, you know, the outsiders that can have the effect on the family as well.
Can I piggyback on that? So the central thing, of course, is awesome. But one of the other things is just getting older in general, psychological toll of getting older. Just curious, what is something that you would tell your younger self based upon where you are now?
Wow. And that's for Kenny too. And it's going to be for Kenny as well. Because I would love to hear what he says too. I think I would tell my younger self I was always very nervous. And I always felt that I was not enough. I was a kid who was just like, I was the nerd in the family, and I didn't play sports, and then I had lots of pimples, and I was very awkward, and I had a lisp. I had everything. And I would tell myself to be patient and to just keep going, and to and keep your head up, because I had my head down for a long time. And Kenny?
Oh, I would answer that. This weekend, I go to the patriarch of our family in Tallahassee, 96, and he passed away this week. And he's a great long life, beautiful, right? First successful black man that I saw. But what I would tell my younger self is to be patient, because everybody has something to contribute unique for their age. So like when I did Hairspray Live, I had 10-year-olds, 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds, 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds, 60-years, 70-year-olds in the play. And if you are attentive and in tune, at 10, there's no one like a 10-year-old. 10-year-old gives to the world what 10-year-olds give. That's why when you have a 2-year-old, it's like, let that kid be a kid. They're not going to be 2 again. And when you're 60, you have a certain wisdom that no other age has. When you're 70, that's why I sit around. I went to Joseph Lowry, Reverend Joseph Lowry, used to be the president of SCLC. He's 95, and he's mostly at home now. But I go by when I'm in town to visit him, just to listen. It's like no one can give me that. So I would tell myself, because when I was 20, I was like, I wanted everything to happen right then. You know what I mean? I wanted to read the whole book. It's like, so I would just say, we're books. So let's deal with each chapter as we get through them. And sometimes we don't know when that chapter and that book is going to end, but you got to stay there. That's what I would say. Right in front of you, you had a question right there? Yes.
This was my first time seeing this, but I just wanted to thank you for just kind of displaying like the fear of the unknown. Like Dot didn't know what was next. She knew that because having Alzheimer's, she didn't know what she was going to remember next. The caretaker, as stressful as that was watching her mother, her not knowing what to do and just trying to find all those little pieces in that, and relying on the help of her brothers, and as an adult, like, that's something hard to deal with, but I thought that was really cool how you just kind of like Dottie, and how Fidel just kind of understood Dottie, what she could confide in him, what she couldn't in her kids, and just the whole thing I just thought was really, really
Thank
cool.
you. I think that everybody, I'm considering this sort of like a coming of age for people in their 40s, as our parents are moving to another stage, and you're being challenged to move into another stage too. Every single character in this play is being challenged, because you're dropped in the middle, something is changing, and it's like the tornado's coming, and you can't say, I'm going to still be this way. You actually have to change. And everyone's attached to a really bad idea of like, I'm going to make it this way. And then suddenly, everyone just takes a step at the end. That no one really changes, but they take a step. Shelley takes a step. You know what I mean? She's challenged to like, oh, maybe to listen to this other noise of my sister, or everybody else. And like, oh my God, let me take that in. Maybe that's not so bad,
Also, I like what you did. All the characters, they all have to deal with something, because sometimes in life we're complaining so much about what our challenges are. You know what I mean? Whether it be cancer or, diabetes, or, you lost a loved one. We all will be tested. That's life. We're all going to go through something. So it's amazing while this family is going through this, Fidel is going through his own thing.
I've always
been away from his mother for 9 years. Sometimes we're just so concerned with what we're going through. Like everybody is going through something.
Exactly.
And a lot of times other people are going through something way, way tougher than what you're going through. And it's about how you deal with what you're going through.
I'm glad you brought up about Fidel too, because I love the fact that like he represents many immigrants. He represents many people who I know who, like, when I worked in restaurants, who, like, one night, because this guy stayed on my brain. I was just like one of the dishwashers that people just threw his plates at him, etc. He had nothing else, but he was the dishwasher. Until one day I closed up late and we were walking, And then I was like, oh my God, we both live in Queens. And we were walking down, he said, oh my, you live on the next block? I said, yeah, I'm a painter. He's telling me how much of a painter he was. I'm like, what? And then he said, I'll show you something. I was like, wait, it was late. I was like, sure. So we go in there, like, whatever, he's gonna show me something. He had these beautiful, beautiful, huge paintings all over. He lived basically, it was a studio, and I was like, this guy's an artist, and I had no idea. I didn't know his story. And so so Fidel represents many of those people who sort of lives, does the work, quiet, and he's dealing with his own stuff, which is even why I wanted to make sure the conversation with his mother is in Russian. It's like, you don't even know what's going on with this right in your own home. He's not just here to care for you. Right. You know what I mean? He has a complex life as well.
Yes.
So, thank you for giving a voice to these characters, these issues. And I believe I read somewhere that this may have a life on the small screen, and it would be amazing.
I sold it as a series to AMC, and I've been developing it. So it'll be a series. These characters stayed with me so much, and then I met with a comrade who's also a co-executive producer with me, and she said, and I learned how to pitch, and I went around to all the studios, and then oddly enough, I thought the studio that I'm on a show with, I thought they would want this, you know, and they really loved it, and they really believed these characters had a life, and I'm doing something interesting with it too. It's like I'm opening it up. Just I wanted to play off of 2 timelines. It starts in there's 1987. I don't know, I'll tell you that's a secret. It starts in 1987 and also dealing with the present, but it's still all the same characters, but we're looking at the major questions for me. How did we get here? Who are we and where are we going? And so, and it's even more, there's more secrets embedded in the family of things that people don't know until we get the deteriorating mind who has no filter anymore. And then it challenges the family even more so. It challenges the question of family. You know, I'll just throw out one secret that I'm working on, because it's a secret that I've always had, and I was going to use before, was that Shelley, it's sort of based loosely on a friend of mine who never believed her and her mother had a bond, and there was always something between them. And then I'm just working it out that there's more reason for that there's a secret there. So tune in to AMC, hopefully in the next year or so. You never know, maybe some of this cast will be in it, you never know. Once you're a part of the Dot family, you're part of the Dot family. You're part of my family.
We'll take 2 more questions. Yes.
I want to say the word I used to describe your play was real. And I appreciate that authenticity of the realness. As a child, I grew up with my great-grandmother in the house, so I saw that perspective. Now the roles are changing. I see my mother dealing with it as well, with her mother. So the different views, and I could just see myself in it as well. So I appreciate the realness and the addressing of the issue. I'm here with some of my sorority sisters tonight because we feel that mental health issue is a very important to our community. Our current administration is dealing with the love and compassion for caregivers as well. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
One other question? In the back.
Yeah, my mother-in-law, she had mentioned when she died, and one word that came to me, besides the play being powerful, was how helpless I felt, where I could not make a change. So what I did was to honor her, actually did her obituary. And I told people laugh, people cry, people have to be real with how they feel when they deal with someone dealing with dementia. And that's all aspects of that in your play. And was that plan to incorporate that in your play?
I guess it was, I wanted to see different perspectives of how people deal with trauma, how people deal with grief. Even the idea of like Jackie, we're just saying like things that you never let go of, whether you're aware of it or not. Like if you say, I'm not holding the flame, you never know, 20 years later, you could be. And is that, you never know. The things that, and I'll tell you this, just this is a sidebar, because there's some truths to some of this play. I always, we have to draw from things that we know and love. Like Avery is really based on, like I said, all the women that I know, but my sister actually is named Avery. The character of Jason that's off stage, Jason is the griot. Jason is the one who's going to hold the stories because they're being saved for him. My middle name is Jason. So I'm the offstage character in the Another secret you may want to know is the conversation that Jackie and Donnie had about, like, I just want to know, is actually a conversation I had with the last girlfriend I had about 4 years ago. And suddenly, we were at a barbecue, and my sister was like, you know, I saw Lynn at the market, and then she surprises, and Lynn comes over, like, oh my God, get out of here, get out of here. And she's sitting on my lap like we used to, and everything's so affectionate and whatever. And my husband's there, everything, and it's all wonderful. It's so beautiful, and she's like, I just want to know, what was, I was like, what? We're not talking about that, are we? And she's like, she said, and she actually used those words. She said, I feel, because we had a beautiful, we were high school sweethearts. She said, I feel like I've compared every man to you. And she said, I feel like I've been stuck in a way. You know, like in a way of like, because I'm comparing, like, I felt like I felt short in some way. And the things you never know the effect you have on somebody. When you know what I mean, where they feel rejected or whatever, you're like, oh no, it's not you, it's me. You know, but yet still she's carrying it because we hadn't had a full conversation about it. So you're like, oh, that stuff is real. And people are like, that doesn't happen. Nobody would hang on to it. No, they do. I actually have the conversation. You know? And I think I wanted all these, that just says, I wanted all these perspectives of things that I know. Of things that I know about family, about who we are. I wanted a house filled with all different kinds of people. That's the reality I live in. I wanted all levels of education and to talk about it. I want it to be, it's such a black play, but it's not a black play. I think people just are. Nobody's talking about race, nobody's talking about sexuality, nobody's talking about gender. They just are, and they're doing it, and they're strong. And I think that's actually a bit more honest and, like you said, very real than actually always standing on a stage and talking about race. We don't do that. I think what's actually even more political, what's even more subversive, is that we just are and are being. And I hope to champion even more plays and more experiences that do just that. And I think that's the way we can elevate our experiences to make it the human experience. And it's not just delineated to my microcosm of the world, but my family is your family, and your family, and your family, and your family, and your family.
Thank you for that. With that, I'm just going to remind you that this play runs until August 12th. If you like it, tell your friends. If you don't, keep it to yourself. I just want to remind you, at True Colors, we've always been about this, which is our 16th year. And it's really about having folks that are different sit next to each other to embrace all of our stories. That, you know, I don't care who you are, I love you. Whether you like it or not, I love you. I love you, I love you. And our next play is Nina Simone, 4 Women. So get your tickets to see that, directed by our own Jamil Jude. No, he's not directing that. He's directing Skeleton Crew. Yeah, so after you see Nina Simone, then see Skeleton Crew. But we really appreciate you, and we really appreciate this man for taking his time to write the play, and also to come here to Atlanta to break bread with us. We appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And we'll see you next time.